Alright guys, as you can see on the title below, today's video is going to be all about the OPPO Find X8 Pro that I've actually been using for the past 1 week. Now in today's video, we're going to go over a couple of very important points so that you guys can get the most information you can get over a period of, let's say, 5 to 6 minutes. Now let's try and jump into that right away. Alright, so first up, design. What do I think about it? Now when I first removed the phone from the box, immediately I could feel that it's a very slim device. Now not very usual for a flagship, usually they're a bit thick, and I think that's particularly attributed to the camera sensor at the back here, which is actually quite slim. Nice. It also doesn't feel very heavy, and after using it like without a case for the past 1 week, I find that I like this form factor very much. It's only very slightly curved on the sides here, so it's not an entirely flat frame, and it just feels very ergonomic. It feels great in hand. Now you might notice that on the side, we still have that slider rocker, and that allows you to switch between your vibrate, your ring, and your silent. And if you just move to the other end of the phone itself, you might notice that we do have a brand new shutter button. Now the shutter button here, I want to talk about it very quickly because I've seen it on the iPhones before. Now on the iPhone, the side button is sort of like a physical button that you actually have to press, and whenever you do that, it sort of like jitter the phone a little bit when you're trying to get the photo. However, with the Find X8 Pro, the squeeze is just ever so slightly, and it reduces a lot of amount of jitter. Alright, so that's just in terms of the design. Let's talk a bit about the camera since we're on that. Alright, so at the back here, we do have 4 sensors. They're all 50 megapixels, so very easy to remember. But what you're getting here is an ultra wide. You have the main sensor, you have a 3x telephoto, and a 6x telephoto. Now these 3 lenses all come with OIS. The only one that doesn't come with OIS is the ultra wide. Alright, so how do they perform? Okay, let's start off with the zoom features because this is supposed to be a phone that actually does zoom very well. Now the reason why we have 3 and 6 times zoom here is actually quite simple. So say for example, sometimes you're trying to take a photo or portrait of a person. Now you don't want that person to go like all the way back. So you can just use a 3 times here to actually get a proper portrait shot, and it works just fine. Now having said that, what if you want to take something that's a bit further behind, but you don't want to zoom all the way to 100 times? So this is where the 6 times zoom actually comes into play, and I was actually able to get a lot of good zoom shots. Now OPPO is also saying that they have put in some AI algorithms to help the zoom be a bit better, but personally, in all honesty, I personally think that anything below 10 times is the sweet spot. If you're going further than that, you might have to experience a slight degrade in quality. Now how about those 1 times shots? We have this Hasselblad branding at the back here, which looks very fancy on this Find X8 Pro. Now to be honest, without using the Hasselblad tuned filters, the pictures turns a little bit saturated at some times. I wouldn't say it's like super saturated like some other devices, but it's saturated enough for me to actually use a different filter to get the kind of colors that I personally want. So what I'll do is that, again, I want to recommend this to y'all. If you do happen to get this device, turn the EV down to maybe negative 0.7, maybe try out one of the built-in filters, and you can actually get a very, very nice photo. These photos all look as if they were edited with Lightroom or something, but it's actually all straight out of camera with no editing and post-processing done. They look fantastic. Alright, now moving on to the third point, let's talk a little bit about the display at the front. Now this display is actually a pretty nice display. Now I'll start off with the bezels at the sides. It's very symmetrical. Great stuff there. It's only ever so slightly curved at the edges, which means it's curved on the bezel. That means not a lot of image distortion. And in terms of the brightness, guys, it goes up to 4500 nits, which is crazy bright. Like I was just browsing a couple of XDR, HDR photos on the phone itself. It's so bright that I actually have to reduce the brightness. Now furthermore, it comes with that LTPO 1 to 120 Hz. That means that it can help to save a little bit more of battery. So yeah, it's a great display. Now moving on to the fourth point, let's talk a bit about the performance. So this device here is running the latest Dimensity 9400 chipset, which is the latest and greatest chipset from MediaTek. Now if you just want to talk about benchmark scores, comparing it to the Snapdragon 8 Elite, now I would say that the 8 Elite outperformed the Dimensity 9400, but that's just in terms of benchmark scores. Now when we come to actual real world use, I don't really notice any difference in terms of performance between the two. Now if I go even more extreme and compare these chipsets to last gens like Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, personally, again, I do not feel a big bump in terms of real world use. If you're going to be doing a lot of graphic intensive gaming, maybe you might feel the difference, but for the majority of users out there, you might not feel that actually. Now this leads me on to the final point, and that's actually about the battery life. Now this time around, the device itself is using a carbon silicon battery. It's a 5910 mAh unit, and the good thing about this new technology is that it can squeeze more density of battery into a more compact form factor, so you don't see this being a very thick device price, but your battery has increased in size. Now in terms of the charging, it's 80 watts, so yeah, very fast. And it also supports like 50 watt wireless charging using OPPO's wireless charger. So yeah, you're pretty much covered in the battery and charging department. Now at the end of the day, who is the OPPO Find X8 Pro for? Well, I would say this, if you are currently looking for one of the best flagships that money can buy today, this is something that you might want to check out. Of course, the phone also comes with a couple of AI features, which I've actually spoke about in my Instagram. Go check that out so I don't have to repeat myself. Anyway, let me know what you think about this device down in the comment section below. Thank you for watching and staying all the way to the end. Look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Do take care, stay safe, and bye-bye.